We need to eat the baby.
I have no respect for women who voted for Trump. Okay? I think so poorly of them, and the reason why.
Welcome back. So, the Idaho's U.S. attorney collects over $2.3 million in penalties. The Idaho's U.S. Attorney's Office collected more than $1.6 million in criminal restitution, fines, assessments, and civil debts in the fiscal year that ended September 30th, 2019. Crime victims receive funds collected in criminal restitution cases. In fiscal year 2019, the office collected over $1.168 million in criminal restitution. Our collection and asset forfeiture staff of attorneys, paralegals, analysts, and fiscal agents ensure that those who have caused loss to victims pay those victims back, and ensure that those who have profited from committing crimes in the District of Idaho are deprived of proceeds and tools of their crimes, said U.S. Attorney Bart Davis. These same folks also ensure that those who owe the federal government money as a result of litigation in this district or as a result of long-time debt make appropriate payments. This year, all of these dedicated individuals have done outstanding work and served this office, the taxpayers and the community as well. Other criminal collections, like fines, go into the Crime Victims Fund. Those funds are distributed in the Idaho Crime Victims Compensation Program, the Idaho Council on Domestic Violence and Victim Assistance. I like that. Money recovered from criminal activity is returned to victims, used to offset the cost of operating federal prisons, and shared with local, state, and federal law enforcement. Some of the most notable collections last year included $150,600 paid by the defendant in a child pornography case. $77,366 and $55,372 were recovered from real estate sales and refinances from the sale of a home in a child exploitation case and used to pay fraud restitution in two separate cases. And $24,382 was collected after a home was sold to pay restitution in a child exploitation case. Another $721,211 in forfeitures include currency, vehicle, and real property related to trafficking in controlled substance, fraud, child exploitation, and other serious crimes. 146 firearms used in criminal activities were destroyed to prevent their future use in crime. And some of the civil debts and penalties were also collected as part of civil penalties involving controlled substance, environmental protection, damage to federal property, and procurement fraud. Now, I do agree with where this money is going from. The only thing that I don't agree is that some of this money comes from non-violent crimes and basically theft from the people. But when it's coming down to these cases, and yeah, I stand with it. At least I think. I'll have to know more exactly how they distribute this money. All right. Hey. So apparently they're using trailers to house inmates because they don't have any space in their jails. It's a Band-Aid on a bleeding artery. Canyon County Jail begins to house inmates in trailers. Sheriff Karen Donahue said that trailers are just a stopgap measure until the county can secure a funding mechanism to build a new jail. After numerous attempts of securing funding to build a new jail in Canyon County, the county is trying to find relief to their overcrowding woes by bringing in 28 trailers that will house just over 100 female inmates. The lease for the trailers will cost the county $12.5 million over the 5 to 7 year lease. Canyon County Sheriff Karen Donahue said that the trailers the jail is using are actually more secure than the tents that they had been housing inmates in. It might even be a little bit more secure, actually, because it's a contained unit, he said. Once these 28 trailers are put together, it will look like a building. 6 of the trailers arrived on Tuesday. Once all of them have arrived, they'll be put together and to form a new building that will hold 122 female inmates. They'll start piecing them together. The lot we're standing on, the electricity still needs to be pulled through. The stubs and the plumbing still has to come, and it's because it's all underground, the sheriff said. Once the inmates are moved to the trailers, the sheriff said maintenance crews will renovate the old areas they were housed in. There's going to be a period of time when the county maintenance crews will do some renovation and some touch-up work that is kind of needed to be done, he said. Paint and things of nature, but time hasn't allowed us to do because of the overcrowding. Once the renovation work is complete, the plan is to move some of the overfilled inmates from other areas into that pod. Some people who live in the area aren't thrilled by the new additions to the county jail and are concerned about housing inmates in trailers. It's not fair to us, said Juan Mora, who has lived across the jail for decades. We are getting more surrounded by the jail, and we don't know what kind of people they are. Donahue said that until Canyon County gets its mechanism to help pay for a new jail, this will have to work for now. This is a stopgap measure, he said. It's a band-aid on a bleeding artery, and we have to use that term numerous times, but yet it does give us a little bit of breathing room. We still need to find a funding source. The county needs to find a funding source to build a permanent jail. Officials don't have an exact date for when the trailers will start housing inmates, but they are working to get inmates moved in by December. Hey, what's up? Alright, so this conversation needs to happen. Boise State hosts lawmaker panel to address college diversity. The discussion comes a few months after a letter signed by 28 House Republicans was sent to Boise State's president questioning its diversity program. And then, I don't know if you remember, I covered a story with Senator Nicole. She was the one, I think, that was heading this. A letter signed by 28 Idaho House Republicans over the summer questioned parts of Boise State University's diversity and inclusion programs. That letter was sent to Boise State President Dr. Marlene Tromp in July, who has since stirred up a debate. Tuesday night, Boise State University students hosted a panel discussion with 4 legislators, 2 Republicans and 2 Democrats, to talk about diversity in colleges and universities. So, number one, this is great. The fact that they can even bring Republicans and Democrats to talk about something in a college. That's awesome. The panel consists of 4 state legislators: Senator Cherry Buckner Webb, Democrat Boise; Representative Matt Erpelding, Democrat Boise; Representative Barbara Hart, Republican of Idaho Falls; and Representative Brian Zollinger, Representative of Idaho Falls. Hart wrote the letter that tells KTV the reason 28 Republicans signed it is because they feel diversity and inclusion programs are focusing too much on social justice and taking away from the intended educational purpose of universities. During the panel discussion, Erpelding said he disagrees and feels those types of programs are a place for students to feel included and safe, allowing them to thrive in their education. Though the letter did stir up controversy, with some who read it believing the lawmakers wanted to do away with diversity, Hart said it was not the intent of the letter. Let me be very clear. Absolutely support diversity, she said. We just believe that some of these initiatives and programs are not the most beneficial to all the students. According to Hart, the letter was intended to bring to light whether or not the money spent on diversity programs is the best use of Idahoans' money, and they don't believe it is. And I agree with them. Anything that's funded by the school should be for all students, and so that part of what we're trying to make very clear here, she said. We are for all students, but not one Idaho student should feel that they're not welcome at our institution of higher education. Hart tells KTVB she is also concerned that money to pay for some of those diversity programs actually drive up the cost of tuition, which makes many state lawmakers they don't want to see. Buckner Webb said very little funding for these programs actually come from the state. And even if it did, she would still support it because she believes they have value. I have no problem with funding diversity because I think there's an amazing value proposition, he said. It's part of the educational process, being able to work across differences successfully. That is an important need for anybody that's going to work or going to educate or going to go to other countries or remain right here in Boise. Buckner Webb and Hart agreed in their opening statements that this conversation needs to happen. Arpelding added he was grateful for a chance to talk about the importance of these programs. Boise State students put this event together because they have a deep appreciation for diversity and inclusion programs on their campus, he said. Many of the students who showed up benefit from programs that ensure every student has the opportunity to succeed. Boise State students want a stable economic future created by access to a diverse and inclusive community that provides a high quality of life, he added. Senator Buckner, Webb, and I are proud to stand up for the programs that help students to achieve those goals. Since the letter was sent, Hart acknowledges that she has had many successful discussions with Trump and will continue to do so. She added that this conversation, which isn't going away, and something could likely be brought up in the 2020 legislative session. Now, listen, diversity is okay, but not when you make it a priority. Diversity of character, diversity of thought, that's what the colleges needed. But they don't need, let's just say you have a class and 70% of it's white. Doesn't mean you just need to kick some out and put, other races in just because. That's just